Let me give y'all a time frame. All of this happened at this time last year. I'm gonna try to keep everything as short as possible and get straight to the point. Basically, we were just hanging out, my two friends and I. It was getting late, and both of them asked me if they could go outside and just like walk around, and I was literally so tired, and so I let them. I gave them a time frame of when I wanted them to be back because it was literally late, and as you can guess, they didn't come back in that time frame. And I asked them where they were, and they called me and said they were on top of a roof of a parking lot, and they said they were on the way back to my house, and 30 minutes later they came back. Stay tuned for part 2. This is part 2. My friends came back and they were like so awake, and I was like staying up to make sure that they came back to my house. And at that point, I was so tired. And like, I knew that they were back home, so I locked my front door and I went to sleep. As I was in my slumber, they decided to take my mom's keys out of like the counter on my kitchen and go for a drive. As they were in my mom's car, they started driving, and I guess that they were messing with the settings on her car and turned off one of the lights that you need to have in order to like drive legally, I guess. Sorry, I don't really know anything about driving. And they got pulled over. That was part 2. This is part 3. The police officer pulled them over, and like they lied for like the weirdest reasons. When he went up to them, he asked them questions and they like lied to him. I don't know why. When he asked my friend driving the car what her name was, she said that she was her sister's name. And when the officer asked my friend in the passenger seat his age, he said he was 16, but he really is 15. I'm not sure what you're gaining from that, but okay. Obviously, I wasn't there with them to like know everything that actually was said, but the only reason they got pulled over is because that light was out. Then the officer knew that they like took her car. Then the officer drove them individually to their parents' house. This is part 4. As that officer was like dealing with that situation, another one came to my door. Keep in mind, all of that happened while I was sleeping. Also keep in mind that at this time, it was probably around 4 to 4:30 in the morning. The officer knocked on my door, my mom answered, and he was asking her, do you know where your car is? And he said that there was teenagers found driving her car on the opposite side of the city that we live in. So when he said teenagers, my mom didn't know how many, so she came running in my room, screaming my name, and I woke up. She walked me to the kitchen, and there was a police officer standing there, and I was so confused. Part 5. The officer asked me if I knew where my friends were, and I said no, and basically told me the same thing he told my mother. Meanwhile, the officer that was on the opposite side of the city with my mother's car was driving them to their parents' house to explain. I mean, there's not much explaining you could do besides sounding stupid, saying that you got bored and wanted to take a drive. Eventually, they came back to my house, like probably at 7 in the morning maybe. They didn't get charged with anything major. I know both of them got 2 tickets each, one of them being out past curfew. I know that the passenger in the seat had to do 30 hours of community service, but I'm not sure about the friend driving. Part 6. If they didn't get pulled over, they would have still gotten caught because where my mom was parked, like when they left, someone else parked in that spot. So they would have nowhere to park. When everyone found out that this happened, they asked me, am I still friends with them? How do I feel? And honestly, I still don't know how to feel. I really don't believe it. I just think they did something really disrespectful to my mom. and I don't like that. To this day, I'm friends with the passenger in the seat, and I thought I made up with the driver, but she posted an indirect about me on her spam account today, so I guess not. Honestly, I'm not sure why she's mad. Why would you be mad at me? You shouldn't have stolen her car. Doesn't really make sense.